A man sits in front of a camera. The image is red. He doesn't move. He doesn't speak. He doesn't blink. For 20 seconds, he just looks at you. And then he smiles. That's the entire video. And it was uploaded to YouTube in April of 2008. Within months of the video's upload, a creepypasta had formed around it, claiming that 153 people who watched the full version had gouged out their eyes and mailed them to YouTube's office in California. Whether any of that is true is up for you to decide, but in today's video we will explore the forgotten internet horror of Mereana Mordegard Glesgorv. It's April 2008. YouTube is only about 3 years old at this point, and the internet is something close to the Wild West. There was basically no meaningful content moderation at the time, and generally unsettling content just lived on the platform without anyone doing much about it. You could basically stumble onto something deeply bizarre with zero warning, and YouTube was essentially fine with that at that point. So on April 18th, a user by the name of uploads a 20-second video with a title that nobody can pronounce, and I won't even try. And that title is actually worth pausing on for a second. As far as we know, the name doesn't mean anything in any language, but the crucial thing is that it sounds like it should. There's something vaguely Eastern European about it, the kind of name you'll find attached to some obscure piece of folklore or an ancient figure from a Transylvanian legend. As for the video itself, it's remarkably simple. A man with dark hair and a mustache sits in front of a cloudly undefined background. The whole image is bathed in a deep red tint. Depending on the copy you find, there's either a faint high-pitched tone, some bell-like chiming in the background, or just complete silence. Now, funny enough, I actually have a personal story about this. When I was a kid, I watched this creepypasta on my iPad at school with a group of friends. I told them the whole backstory about the creepypasta, and later that day I dropped the iPad, and somehow the impact broke something in the display. And it started showing everything in that exact same deep red color as the video. I genuinely thought my life was over. Anyway, let's get back on track. If you encounter this today, you're probably going to think it's not that scary. And you'd be right. On the surface, it really isn't. But here's what you have to understand about 2008. This type of horror essentially didn't exist on the internet yet. There was no analog horror, there was no Mandela catalog, there was no Local 58, no backrooms. Alex Kister, the creator of analog horror himself, made a remake of this exact creepypasta back in 2023, which goes to show the effect the original video had on the internet horror culture as a whole. But here's where this thing really takes off. The video alone is just a strange clip, as we mentioned before, but the creepypasta written to accompany it is what transformed it into an actual internet legend. And worth noting, we don't actually know who wrote the original creepypasta. It's one of those situations where it just materialized on the internet and nobody has ever been definitively credited. Which in a way adds to the mystique of this story. The 20-second clip you can find on YouTube, that's actually not the real video, it's only a fragment. The full version is 2 minutes long, and it was removed by YouTube after 153 people who viewed it gouged out their own eyes and mailed them to YouTube's main office, as mentioned before. These people apparently also had committed suicide in various ways, and each of them had carved a cryptic inscription into their forearms that has never been deciphered, and I genuinely love this detail. The story actually acknowledges that it's not yet known how these people managed to mail their eyes after gouging them out, which means the author was self-aware enough to recognize that this makes absolutely no biological sense. But the story keeps going. It claims that YouTube periodically re-uploads the 20-second clip specifically to stop suspicion. And that's actually a really clever narrative move, because it has a built-in explanation for why you can find the video right now and nothing bad will happen to you. This type of molding of the story is actually well documented in creepypasta folklore. The Russian sleep experiment went through something similar. Posted by a user called Orange Soda on the creepypasta wiki in August of 2010, it spread so fast that news outlet had to publish debunking articles. The community even attached a Spirit Halloween animatronic prop called Spasm, sculptured by JAJKU to the story as a supposed photograph of one of the test subjects. Just another case of how quickly these creepypastas can spread across the internet and basically become interpreted differently by different people. Alright, now let's talk about what actually happened, because this has been pretty thoroughly uncovered at this point, although I'll say the debunking raises its own questions, and those might be more interesting than any of the answers. First, we know the video that's up on YouTube right now, the one you can still find if you search the title. That's not the original. If you go onto the Wayback Machine and look at YouTube support pages, 4chan threads, and Reddit posts from early 2008, you'll find people talking about a version of this video from January 2008, months before the April upload that's still live today. A verified YouTube employee confirmed on the YouTube help forums back in 2014 that the original video was taken down for violating community guidelines. So there was an earlier version and it was essentially deleted. We'll likely never know exactly what was in it or whether it differed from the version we can see now. But we do know what's in the surviving version, and just 2 days after that April upload on April 20th, 2008, another video appeared on YouTube exposing the whole thing as a hoax. The video was initially created by an eBaum's World user. Someone on that site took a photograph of a real person and used it to construct this thing. If you take screenshots of the man in the video and run reverse image searches, specifically through archive sites on the Wayback Machine going back to 2008, you can actually find the original image, and this was confirmed in 2014. The man in the footage is a marketing coordinator who worked at an advertising agency in Los Angeles. His real name is Byron Cortez, and he reportedly resides in the US Virgin Islands. His face ended up in this video in an entirely mundane way. One of his professional headshots had been used in a 2004 web design survey about marketing professionals, conducted by a designer named Hillman Curtis. So his face was just sitting out there on the internet in a completely normal professional context. Someone just grabbed it, threw a red filter over it, maybe added a subtle zoom effect, paired it with a meaningless title that sounds vaguely threatening, and uploaded it. There are actually multiple pictures of this guy online. It's just some random poor guy who unfortunately turned into a 2008 demonic version of the Rickroll meme. Byron Cortez has never publicly commented on his image being used, and the original uploader never explained their motivation. And here's the thing, knowing all of this doesn't actually make it less weird. We know who the guy is, we know his photo came from a marketing survey, we know someone slapped a red filter on it and gave it a meaningless name, but we don't know why. Out of everything uploaded to YouTube in 2008, millions of videos, this 20-second clip of a stolen headshot with a color filter is one that got a creepypasta written about it. So let's talk about why this actually matters, because I think there's a larger conversation here about what this video represents in the history of internet horror. In 2008, the creepypasta was considered generally frightening, and I think that's hard for modern audiences to fully appreciate. The concept of a cursed video, media that can harm you just by watching it, felt new when applied to YouTube content, though the horror idea behind it is essentially ancient. You got films like The Ring, you got the mimetic hazards in the SCP fiction. The brown note theory has also been floating around for decades, but applying it to a YouTube video, something that could just appear in your feed, that was a new delivery mechanism for that exact fear. And it landed differently because of how intimate and casual the platform felt at the time. The horror genre didn't just catch up to it, it essentially built an entire world around it. The Mandela Catalog, Local 58, the Backrooms, all of these owe something to the era that videos like the creepypasta helped establish. The foundational idea is identical. Watching something on a screen can alter your perception of reality. You can trace a fairly direct line from this 20-second clip in 2008 to the entire analog horror movement, and I think that lineage needs a bit more recognition. Fittingly, creators from the world have circled back to pay tribute. As mentioned earlier, Alex Kister, the creator of the Mandela Catalog, now one of the most referenced works in analog horror, made his own reimagined version of this exact creepypasta in 2023. A creator called Wiping Leaf, known for analog horror reinterpretations, did the same. There are dozens of remake, animated versions, and musical interpretations on YouTube right now. This one strange 20-second clip from 2008 has had a ripple effect across internet horror culture for nearly 2 decades, which is remarkable when you consider how simple the source material actually is. The original creepypasta probably doesn't hold up by modern standards. The eye gouging and the mailed eyeballs read like a campfire story that spiraled out of hand essentially. But the video itself and the feeling it creates, just a man looking at you through a red filter, and then he smiles. There's still something genuinely uncomfortable about that. It's the same discomfort that powers the best cosmic horror. Not a monster or a jump scare, but something quiet and unexplained that shouldn't bother you as much as it does. And the fact that it helped build the foundation for an entire subgenre of horror that millions of people engage with now, I think that's worth remembering. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this type of content, please consider liking, sharing and subscribing for more deep dives into horror and other fascinating things.